I am Jim Collison, and this is the Clifton Strengths Podcast Season 2, recorded on February 21st, 2023. In this Clifton Strengths podcast series, we looked at the Clifton Strengths for Leaders report, one theme at a time, and today's theme is restorative. If you're listening live and you don't see the chat room, there's a link right above me to it. If you have questions after the fact, you can always send us an email, coaching@gallup.com. Dr. Jaclynn Robinson is our host today. She works as a senior learning and development consultant and joined me for Season 1 of the Clifton Strengths podcast, where we looked at well-being at work, each theme at a time. And Jaclynn, always great to see you. Welcome back.
Thank you.
I've
Good to
been
be here.
getting a lot of requests for that well-being at work book. I think someone told me you had a
Mm.
little bit to do with that back in Appendix 1. Is that true?
Oh, that was fun. That was my COVID project.
Yeah.
Early in COVID, when we were all trying to figure out what to do at home.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
great.
It
I'll
was
forever be
well,
grateful
it,
to the
yeah, and
appendix.
thank you for your work on that. It's an important
Oh.
book. I had somebody ask me about an audio version of it, and I was like, well, you're missing the most important stuff, which is all the stuff in the appendix. So make sure you pick that up and make sure you
Mhm.
go back and listen to that. We're not talking about well-being at work. We're talking here about the Clifton Strengths for Leaders report. And today we're talking about restorative. Give us a little intro. Get us started. What is restorative?
All right. If you have restorative, you are adept at dealing with problems. You are good at figuring out what is wrong and resolving it.
Yeah, not me, apparently. That's low for you, low for me in the 30s for both of us.
Sure
But in
is.
a leadership role, we're spending some time thinking about this in the context of leaders. Our Clifton Strengths for Leaders report's got a section about how to be successful with it, some hindrance and some action items. Let's spend some time talking about the power of this theme in a leadership role. What is that?
Yes. Well, the leadership team and the employee base can really count on this leader to help them overcome obstacles in the workplace. This leader is someone that I don't foresee resting until it's diagnosed and resolved. So in that regard, that the leadership can trust that this person will be there if a problem arises. They know that this person will help them overcome it, and that really trickles down to the employee base too. That can feel like they can trust in leadership and really feel like leadership's going to take them through during times of change. So it creates stability as well.
Yeah, you're digging in a little bit already to the
Yes, the
four
four
needs of
needs.
followers. And I think this is an important one on that. We'll come back around to that here in just a
Yeah.
second. But when we think about the direct leadership of others, how could this theme lead in other ways?
Yeah, they can create more efficiency in departments or on teams because they can start to spot where inefficiencies or obstacles are. And they'll say, okay, well, this might be getting in the way of productivity or this might be getting in the way of communication. And they'll look for a way to rectify or fix it. So they can end up working with speed to correct that problem so that employees can feel at their best and be at their best every day. So
Mm,
now we're getting into employee engagement where they feel cared
mhm.
for, seen and heard and valued because they've got this leader that recognizes the inefficiencies or is open to hearing what those inefficiencies are so they can fix it. Gotta
Uh,
love this person.
Where do you think? Well, we should love all people. Just a reminder. Don't know why. Don't know why I said that.
That's a good one.
The I hear
uh,
some maximizer in there when we think about restorative and maximizer, right?
it
Making
almost
things more
sounds
efficient or
like it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Compare and contrast a little bit on that. And there could be some
Yeah.
similarities. The talents for both of those may come from similar cores, but as we think
Hmm.
about that, how do you see the difference between maybe restorative and maximizer, or do we need to have a difference? They get to the same outcome, right? But so talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking about that too. Whenever you start to think about restorative with inefficiencies and how people might have that question, and that motivation is different. So they're looking at efficiencies that might create a problem or might bring forth an obstacle in a person or in a workplace or on a team, and they want to fix it, diagnose it, and fix it. Maximizer is more focused on what is efficient. So they don't like
Mm,
inefficiencies. They want to take something from great to excellent. And so for them, if there is an inefficiency, it's okay, let's fix it. Not because we just want to sit there and diagnose problems all day, but because this is a poor ROI if it isn't getting
Yeah.
fixed.
Yeah.
I don't think they want to live in that space, but they can identify what is inefficient. I would say typically what I see maximizers do is go, this isn't fun. This isn't a fun bag for me to play in. Let me go to the efficiency side over here. So they might
Mhm.
see an inefficiency and give it to that restorative person
Yeah.
versus wanting to even spend time on it.
Well, I think important to remember that they're successful. Those with high restorative are successful at that. And I
Yeah,
think you just
so
said
good
this,
at it.
they live in that space, right? They
Hmm.
just live in that space where, I have high maximizer. I like doing it from time to time. People have
Yeah.
asked me sometimes, where's restorative for you? Because they see that. And
Hmm.
I have to say it's it's pretty low. It's totally the maximizer coming out. And good to understand those
Yes.
differences, but knowing that I'm not living there, I'm not living in it. It's not something I'm successful with more often than not. You probably wouldn't want me solving problems all the time. I get tired of that
Yes.
too. I start to wear down and I'm like, whatever. My answers are whatever, whatever, whatever. I'm tired. Stop bothering
Period.
me. Right. Where high restorative, I don't know if they get out of that zone, right? They stay in that zone
That's
a
a
little bit
great
longer,
call out.
right?
That's such a good sort because what I'm hearing you say and seeing this in Maximizer and I think witnessing it myself, if something's inefficient, I might solve for it that first time, but if it continues to be a problem or an
Yeah.
inefficiency, I don't want to be there at all.
Yeah.
It's just, nope, this isn't good ROI for me or
Yeah.
return on investment. So I'm I think I'd rather be off this project or off this responsibility.
Yeah.
Give it to
Yeah.
somebody
Yeah.
else,
Well, that's
not my
stability.
playground.
That's
So I
stability,
think,
right? Yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
yes. Yeah.
When we think about the hindrance of this, how could this theme hinder the leadership of others?
They could come across as negative or as someone who's always finding faults in people or
Mm.
processes. So that's something they do have to be cognizant of. In this regard, what I'll usually share out with managers or leaders with restorative high is could you share out what you appreciate about that person's point of view or idea before offering your own insights? So instead of saying that's great, but maybe it's I love your idea and you're adding on to it.
Mm.
So that is key that we've seen. And then the other, I think, primary hindrance we often see is before really embedding yourself into someone else's problem, just ask if the person wants you to help or if they just want that listening ear.
Mm.
So make sure you're getting tapped in to solve a problem before just diving in and
Yeah.
solving someone else's
Yeah.
problem for them.
Yeah. We just fixed that. I know, but we need to fix it again, right? And that's
Hmm.
maybe again, that's probably a bad example. I don't know. Actually, maybe I'd retract that. Roy, you don't need to edit it, but because that's actually sounds more like a maximizer statement as opposed to when things are
Hmm.
really broken, right? When we think about those four needs of followers: hope, stability, compassion, and trust. Um, where do you think you mentioned that earlier in the program, but
Yes.
where do you think that fits
Yes.
in?
Stability and trust. And I would say stability because they can recognize an inefficiency or an obstacle and they'll remove it so that the workplace becomes efficient again. And that helps with people's well being and engagement. But they can trust that the leader's going to, I, fix that obstacle that's in the way. Um, so I see it playing in both ways compassion because people feel cared about when they're telling you there's an issue and you respond to it expediently. Um, and then hope. I mean, as we're just thinking about all of them actually,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
being able to recognize what this inefficiency is and fixing it is creating hope that tomorrow is going to be better and even more efficient.
yeah.
And we can really thrive in terms of our well-being and engagement. Hope that if there is chaos that happens or some workplace change that's happening, this person can help you see it through, ride
Mhm.
through those waves.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, you also hear a little ideation in that as I think about going to someone with high restorative and saying, "Hey, I've got this issue. Can you think about it for me a little bit? And how would we approach this from a fix standpoint?" I wonder where
Mm,
ideation shows up for folks that have
hmm.
relator, and I'd love to
Or
expand or
restorative.
think about that. Yeah. For what did I say?
Yes.
What did I say?
Relator.
Ideation? Oh, sorry. Restorative. Yeah, sorry. Just misspoke there. Um, so yeah, just an interesting thought. We're
Yes.
speaking of interesting, we're spending some
There you
time in this
go.
series looking at the Clifton Strengths for Sales and the Clifton Strengths for Manager reports. role-based reports that could be put together with this Clifton Strengths for Leaders report, and kind of a report dynamics is what we've been calling it. How
Mhm.
can let's think about the sales report first. Put sales together with the leaders report. What could that look like for success for somebody with high restorative?
I could see this person being really adept at helping their sales team see key customer issues in the existing market and then helping them see how their own products and services can meet that customer need. Another way that this could show up is if the leader is talking to a prospect, this might be that person that's inclined to ask a lot of questions, a lot of,
Mm,
um, dare I say, whys. But they always talk about in sales, ask the 5 whys. Just keep going deeper and deeper to get the root cause of what their problem or need is. I
mm.
can see them doing that investigation, so to speak. Tell me
Yeah.
more. Tell me more.
I love that in a sales cycle, because we're not selling just to sell. We're selling to solve,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
We're
Ooh, that's
selling.
good.
Oh,
It's
I feel
good,
like that's,
sir.
holy cow!
TM that. Trademark
Somebody
that.
should be writing this stuff down. So,
Great slogan for
yeah, Mark,
restorative.
you can use that as one of the quotes, one of the pull quotes that we do for each one of these. Um, so I think the intent is there, right? We're trying to help the customer with something. They just
Mhm.
don't need 5 seats of the whatever you're selling,
Mhm.
or 5 items. Why are we trying to do it? I think in solving that, I think that can bring stability. Going back to those needs of followers
Yes.
to the sales process. What about managing? As we think about the Clifton Strengths for Manager report, combining that with the Clifton Strengths for Leader report.
So I'm kind of bringing in a little bit of the 4 needs again, but
Yeah, yeah,
employees
yeah,
can feel support and stability
yeah.
with this person, knowing that if there is an obstacle in their day to day responsibilities or goals, this manager will help them, sort through it and figure out a more efficient way of getting things done. And better yet, if this is a manager that guides the employee to their own solution, then you're empowering that employee to solve obstacles by
Mhm.
themselves or for themselves. And you're just more or less that passenger in the seat. Oh, I hear there's an obstacle. Okay. What are some ideas you have for solving it? What considerations have you already thought through? That way, again, we're not solving the problem for them if you have restorative high, but you're giving them an opportunity to come to that conclusion with your support.
Mm. We spent a lot of time thinking, and especially on this one, thinking about tying it to this idea of engagement.
Hmm.
We haven't spent in any of these seasons really talking about that directly. We're not going to start here
Yeah.
to do it, because there's a lot to it. But I love that idea of this theme of a manager leader using that restorative talent to bring high engagement to a team that might be struggling. Jaclyn,
Hmm.
any final thoughts before we wrap it?
I can't think of this theme and not think of Vanilla Ice. If you've got a problem, I'll solve it. It's just I love these folks. We love all people, but having Maximizer High, this is my
Yeah.
powerful partner anytime I'm working with someone with restorative because they really can just help come up with solutions and solves, and they love it. They love going down um, that tunnel of thought. And so, if you've got these folks on the team, be sure to lean in
Yeah. Yeah.
and use them, especially if this isn't a theme that you have or you don't fancy solving problems.
Yeah. And if you have it, let somebody know. Let somebody
Yes.
know you have it, right? Hey,
Yes.
you know what? I really like thinking about problems, because not everybody
Yes.
does. Not everybody does, you know?
It's very true.
And so let those around you know. Well, with that, we'll remind everyone to take full advantage of all the resources we have available now in Gallup Access. Head out to gallup.com/Clifton Strengths. Log in. We got tons of new resources available for you. Hit the resources tab, upper left-hand corner, drop it down, choose resources, not that hard. And then in the you'll see a bunch of, don't get distracted by what's below
Tons.
it. Put restorative in there. Everything we've done on restorative is available. It'd be a good strength study to go in there. I think we've got transcripts since season 3, and even before that on Theme Thursday, we had little write-ups. Be interesting to go in there and do a little bit of a study of
Yeah.
Mark and I were doing that today. We were going across, we were just double checking everything is making its way into Gallup Access. And I was just looking at the titles by theme of all these things. We've got 7 now. And this will be the 8th season on this, right? 6 for Theme Thursday, and now
Yes.
2 for there's a real depth of information out there around these themes. You just have to put up with
Mhm.
me, unfortunately. So as you get into those,
Fortunately.
lots of great resources available for you. If you want to stay up to date on all the live webcasts, join us on Eventbrite. Go to gallup.eventbrite.com, create an account, follow us so you get a notification whenever we do something new. Join us on any social platform by searching Clifton Strengths. And thanks for listening today. If you enjoyed it, we'd ask that you share it, hit like, subscribe. That button's just down there. Just click on it. You know you're going to like it. And if you do that, you'll never miss an episode. Thanks for joining us today. If you're listening live, stay around for a little bit of the post show. With that, we'll say goodbye, everybody.